Chapter 17. The Baghdad Connection. The lobby of their Baghdad hotel was a swirl of quiet efficiency. A man with kind, intelligent eyes and a neatly trimmed gray beard rose from a leather armchair as they approached. It was Dr. Fadel Massoud. He greeted Kalen with a warm, professional handshake before turning his curious gaze to the others. Dr. Carter, Dr. Ferris, Kalen said, making the introductions. This is our trusted colleague, Dr. Massoud. A pleasure, Massoud said, his English perfect, his eyes analytical. Kalen, your message was intriguing. Shall we speak somewhere more private? He led them not to a conference room, but to a quiet, book-lined study reserved for hotel guests. The air was cool and smelled of old leather and tea. Once the door was closed, the professional warmth in Massoud's demeanor was replaced by a cautious gravity. Kalen, you have always been a reputable, if unconventional, benefactor of our work, he began, gesturing for them to sit. But the symbol you sent me, it is not from any published text. It is from a collection of sealed tablets recovered from a site that, officially, does not exist. Before I show you anything that could end my career, you must tell me how you came by it. This was the test. Ben took the lead. Dr. Massoud, in my research, I've come to believe that a technologically advanced culture existed in pre-dynastic Egypt. I believe they suffered a great schism, a civil war, and that a faction of their engineers fled east to Mesopotamia. Massoud listened, his expression unreadable. A common enough fringe theory, Dr. Carter. Many have speculated. But did their theories mention that the rebels stole 3 of the 4 pillars of the sky god? Inanna interjected, her voice calm and steady, and that the fourth, the largest and most complex, was left behind in what the Egyptians would later call the Grand Gallery because it was too damaged to be moved. Massoud froze. His eyes darted from Inanna to Ben. The color drained from his face. That is impossible. The reference to the fourth pillar is on a single untranslated fragment. No one has seen it. We have, Ben said simply. The air in the room grew thick with the weight of unspoken history. Massoud stared at them for a long, silent moment. The mind of a scientist warring with the reality of the impossible. Finally, he gave a single, slow nod. What I am about to do, he said, his voice barely a whisper, is an act of faith. Come with me. The ride out of Baghdad was tense. They drove in a nondescript van, leaving the city behind for the barren, sun-baked plains. The site is designated as a simple Parthian-era ruin, Massoud explained as he drove. A cover story to keep it off the official maps. For 10 years, we have studied the tablets, the myths of a tower that angered the gods. We believed we were studying a legend. He glanced at Ben in the rearview mirror. It seems we were excavating a crime scene. He pulled the van to a stop beside a magnificent crumbling ziggurat that rose from the desert floor like a broken tooth. He led them past the official cordoned-off excavation area to a small reinforced bunker half buried in the sand. We found them when the tablets said the heart of the tower would be, he said, scanning his pass. A heavy door hissed open, revealing a ladder descending into a deep, climate-controlled shaft. The setup was eerily familiar to the one Geodynamics had built in the desert. Ben shot a wry look at Galen. Geodynamics? We don't own everything, Ben, she replied, with a small smile, gesturing for him to go first. At the bottom, resting on pedestals under soft museum quality lights, were the three machines. They were made of a highly polished, dark material that seemed to drink the light, their surfaces humming with a silent, dormant power. They were the pyramid activators. Ben rushed forward, his heart pounding like a relentless drum, a powerful feeling of reunion sweeping over him like a massive wave. They're here, he breathed out, his voice quivering with awe and urgency. These machines aren't just 4,000 or 10,000 years old. They're over 50,000 years old and lying dormant. I need the stone. Kaylin, with her trademark wicked smile, stepped between him and Masood. With her back to the old archaeologist, she slowly pulled her hand from her duffel bag. Sticking was out of her fist was the unmistakable smooth curve of the resonator's stone. Ta-da! She whispered. Ben stared, his mind struggling to comprehend. He remembered the box of rocks, the casual toss, the despair of losing the key. A sharp laugh, mixed with relief and disbelief, escaped his lips. Kaylin, you're a miracle. He took the stone from her, its familiar coolness a grounding presence in his hand. There are no secrets down here, he said, turning to Masood, who was looking at the stone with wide, uncomprehending eyes. Let's see what happens. He approached the machines, stone in hand, step by step. Nothing. Why isn't it working? He asked, his voice laced with frustration. They should recognize the marker. Ben, Masood called out, his voice hushed with excitement. He gestured to a corner where a collection of recently unearthed cuneiform tablets were carefully laid out. We found these tablets arranged around the machines. We assumed they were devotional, but given what you've told me, could they be the operating manuals? Inanna gasped, rushing to the tablets. My God, Ben, look, the hymn to Inanna. Her face lit up. She was the goddess of awakening, of transformation. Her journey to the underworld. It's a mythic echo of ego death and rebirth. It describes the seven powers, the chakras. And this, she said, moving to the next tablet, her voice trembling. The hymn to Anil. You brought our order out of chaos. You planted the seeds of knowledge. Ben, it's a description of the energy sheet from the Giza calibration. Her hand flew to a third tablet. And Aniki, the god of wisdom, whose temple was built over a subterranean source of knowledge. The Absu. The quantum field, Ben finished for her. The source of all information. Ben, this one. Inanna lifted a final tablet, her eyes wide. It talks about the me, divine blueprints of reality kept in Iniki's temple. They weren't decrees, they were data cores. She looked from the tablet to the stone in Ben's hand. The stone. It's a fragment of the me, the last data core. Ben stared at the tablets, his head spinning. It was all here, the entire history, the entire science, cloaked in the beautiful poetry of myth. We have it, he whispered, but it's just dogma. We need to turn it back into technology. Then this is the answer you're looking for, Inanna said, pointing to a final line on another tablet. From the hymn to the temple of Nippur. It calls the temple The house that sings with the voice of heaven, where the words of the gods become flesh. Ben froze. He looked at the resonator machines. He looked at the tablets containing the songs of the gods. He looked at the stone in his hand. That's it, he said, a slow, brilliant smile spreading across his face. It's not about power, it's about sound. They're not just resonators, they're amplifiers.